TW Wrestling Talk, part 2 here of this early December edition. Um, not too far away from tables, ladders, and chairs. I just wrapped up talking about some of the good that we've been seeing, this past week on Raw, etc. Um, now, now we're gonna get on to the bad because there was definitely some things that I didn't like about particularly this edition of Raw from this past week. Um, so we'll work our way up the list, I think, here in severity. Um, First of all, AJ Lee and Tamina had a Divas match. Um, you know, about a 3-minute match at most. Um, Tamina is, you know, the whole connection with Jimmy Superfly Snuka, um, a legend. And then we have AJ Lee, who wrestles at most like maybe one match a month. Um, and AJ seemingly picks up an easy win, um, which ultimately that further disinterests me in the Divas division. Um, I mean, you can't. You, how can you take the Divas division, seriously at all when they have AJ Lee, who has, has not even proven anything really as a good wrestling diva, um, beating Tamina in less than 3 minutes. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I don't even know why the match was kind of thrown together. And I know they had that whole attack back in Survivor Series, but the way they just kind of put the match there and so short, as if it meant nothing, as if it was just a way for AJ to, for the crowd to be happy for AJ winning, as she skips around in her Converse boots, and as I just continue to sit there, holding my head, wondering, what are they doing? But there was worse on this show. At least in different ways. There was a fatal 4-way match. Again, another one that was seemingly thrown together. For the Well, there was a vote, and it turned out that the United States Championship would be on the line instead of the Intercontinental Championship. Um, Number one, this was kind of just thrown together randomly. It seems like every 2 weeks they just throw together a United States title match, and they throw together an Intercontinental Championship match. Um, and I don't understand why. I mean, they could have saved a match like this for the pay-per-view. Um, but the thing that just makes this whole match a mess, um, they have a supposed vote for whether, you know, should Kofi's Intercontinental Championship be on the line, or should Cesaro's United States Championship be on the line. Well, it turns out that, Cesaro's championship would be on the line, and but did anyone take notice that even though his title was on the line, they still had Kofi Kingston, the Intercontinental Champion, in this match? Uh, I mean, I'm sorry, that gets one of those. I mean, come on, why why would the Intercontinental Champion be in a match, a fatal 4-way match for the United States Championship? the titles are kind of at the same level, and the mid card titles. I don't understand where they were coming from with this. They didn't have me fooled. Maybe they had others. Most of the WWE fan base and viewers watching. Maybe they had that most of them fooled, but they didn't have me fooled, and this just came off as something really silly. I mean, Kofi already Intercontinental Champion. I bet he's gonna win. I mean, come on. I mean, that was basically a spoiler alert right there. I mean, I don't. And again, it was something that was just thrown together. So that that just didn't totally make sense. And again, Wade Barrett, he, they insist on keeping him down there when they could be using him up the card more. So, it's just WWE kind of wasting their opportunity a little bit. Um, Wade Barrett's been around for a few years now, and since he came back, they acted as if he was a brand new superstar, a rookie, which he's not, and they just kind of continue to. It's like they restarted his entire career, and here he is still at this mid card level as a result. It's a shame, really, to me. Um, moving on. One more thing I was disappointed about. Well, yet another disappointing part of this show was the Vince McMahon and Vicky Guerrero segment. Um, you know, ironically, the tag team match earlier on with Cena teaming up with Sheamus and Ziggler and Big Show. I mean, it wasn't totally necessary. Um, I didn't hate the match and the result of it. I didn't particularly enjoy it. Um, for the second week in a row, Cena pins Ziggler, which I'll get to in a minute. Um, you know, Vicky Guerrero and Vince McMahon, they have the segment, which to I you know I always say anytime Vince McMahon is in a segment, I'm hooked. I'm looking for I have a good feeling about it. But this segment with him and Vicky Guerrero um, was was pathetic to me. It really just, I mean, they made Vicky look like, um, she had a borderline 70 IQ here, and it was just silly. It just made the whole segment silly in a bad way. Um, they're setting up matches, which I'm going to discuss on the third segment. Stay tuned for that. Um, but this segment was, I don't want the person who's supposed to be general manager of Monday Night Raw, the longest running TV show in television history. I don't want the supposed, or temporary general manager, whatever you want to call him, managing supervisor, whatever you want to call Vicky Guerrero. I don't want her coming off as this, borderline mentally disabled woman, in her 50s or however old she is. It's not very relevant here, but I don't. It really just makes things look silly. And WWE has to know how to be silly and when to be silly and with whom to do certain silly things with. And this did not work at all. And I'll get to the content of this. The main idea from this segment, the main purpose in a moment. But the, although I do want to say, for example, as far as comedy working, Damien Sandow and Santino Marella, albeit Sandow didn't have Cody Rhodes along with him for the night, but you know, him and Santino, for instance, they did a good, you know, entertaining segment. That, those guys could pull, given their current gimmicks. Um, Even though I want to see Sandow make it, big in this business, in this company. For now, I mean, he's still a new face. So then doing this with him, against Santino Marella, who these days it might be considered at the jobber level. He him and they pulled off a good segment given their current characters. Um, you know, they pulled off a good segment. Made me laugh a little bit. If you're gonna do something like that, but the general manager, I don't want her coming out. Um, you know, I want profession. I want something more. That you can take a little more seriously. Um, that's they just made her look like a joke. A total joke, and in ways she always has been with her whole "excuse me" chants and you know. But this was just pathetic, and it was as if they were trying too hard to be funny. Um, that's it was one of those segments that just came off as, oh, they're trying to be too funny, and it's really not working here with me. So that's basically what I thought with that. Um, and having talked about these issues that I had with Raw, some of this bad, I will I will get on to something that's more along the lines of decision making that I think is bad. Um, in the final portion of this edition of TW Wrestling Talk. So stay tuned for tune into that final part of this program.